Hi, I did think I was going to upload a video about the series that I read in 2020 because I sort of wanted to do like a 4-week video project in January where I like made videos summing up some of my 2020 reading / looking to 2021 reading. And this video will still fit inside those parameters, but I tried to film that series video and it just didn't work. It was too long, and then I tried like twice and the lighting was also bad sometimes, and then once you filmed a very long video twice, I just feel like you just can't really go back from that. So I think I'm gonna have to scrap that idea. Today instead I thought I would bring you a non-fiction TBR for 2021. Mostly inspired by me having picked up this book, Feminism Interrupted by Lola Olufemi. Feminism Interrupted, Disrupting Power, and just going through it so fast and enjoying it a lot and thinking it was brilliant. I guess I was also inspired a little bit by Brianna's Library as well, and it just made me want to be like, you know, to get myself to actually sit down and read some non-fiction, because there's some really great non-fiction out there, and I definitely also think like sort of imagination world expanding non-fiction out there. So I thought I would put together a 2021 TBR, and then that way like in December or whatever I can like reflect back on this and see if I read any of it, and hopefully I will have done. The first non-fiction book that I definitely want to get to in 2021, which I have actually also already started reading, is The Fury Archives, Female Citizenship, Human Rights and the International Avant-Gardes by Jill Richards, which is about what it says. It sounds really interesting, and it's a lot about the interplay between feminist organising, socialist organising, and also the avant-garde sort of modernist, like leftist modernist artistic practice, and that's absolutely up my street. And yeah, like I said, I've already read the introduction, which I really enjoyed and thought was really interesting. So yeah, I'm really excited to keep reading. I also think this is relevant to some of my potential like academic stuff, I guess, too. The next is a book I've shown multiple times on this channel, and it is one that I wish I had got to in 2020, but I'm gonna get to it this year, and that's Wayward Lives, Beautiful Experiments by Saidiya Hartman, and it just looks amazing. I guess one of the reasons I found it a little intimidating is because it's quite big. It sounds really wonderful. I think I'll read the back because I obviously haven't read any of these. So, at the dawn of the 20th century, the first generation of black women born after emancipation wanted real freedom at last. Refusing to labour like slaves or accept degrading conditions of work, they leapt into the unknown, becoming the pioneers of free love, common law and transient marriages, queer identities and single motherhood. Their pursuit of liberty transformed the world. The next one is also a book I actually showed on this channel, but I think 2 years ago now, because it was one of my like, what do you want to get to in the next part of the year for a mid-year book freakout tag, and that's Hard to Love, Essays and Confessions by Briallen Hopper. Yeah, she wrote this brilliant piece about spinsterhood in the LA Review of Books or something, which I'm sure you can find if you're interested in checking it out, which was like a critique of a specific book about spinsterhood, but it was also this like really luminous and wide-reaching account of sort of loneliness, like feminized loneliness, singleness, spinsterhood, like really lovely. So that definitely just made me want to check out the rest of her work. And actually somebody commented on that video this year hoping that I had got to it and sharing this like interview she had did, which I thought was really sweet, which I have also then listened to, and it was a lot about friendship. So there is like a sort of way that her work is very queer. I'm not sure she is queer, but the way that it foregrounds like maid bonds between people, care, like non-bio family, kinship type stuff. So yeah, I'm just looking forward to reading the rest of her work. Gosh, holding it now, I really do want to get to it. I don't know why I've not. It will be good to read this too, because that's like getting my TBR from years before down a bit more, so that would be good. I got How We Get Free, Black Feminism and the Combahee River Collective, which I have also shown in a video before, and I did start reading it 18 pages in, but I'd really like to finish it. I did manage to pick up a copy of Revolutionary Mothering, Love on the Front Lines, edited by Alexis Pauline Gumbs, China Martins and Maya Williams, which I talked about in my mid-year book freakout tag from this year. So I am really excited to get to this. It's a collection all about mothering. I think it's like in the vein of black feminist mothering and writing about motherhood, or mothering specifically, but also I think it does also include mothers of colour who aren't black as well. But I'm just really looking forward to it. Like ever since I saw the cover, read the title, I really desperately wanted to read it. I've got this book, which is a book that my friend lent me, which is one of the reasons why I have to get to it pretty soon, but also because I'm interested in it, and it's Constellations, Reflections from Life by Sinead Gleeson. I don't know if you can see that, but it's about sickness and bodies, and Sinead Gleeson is Irish, and so it's also about that, about motherhood, about death, art, lots of different things, I think. And I have heard good things as well, not just from the friend that sent it to me, but the friend who sent it to me is like a sick Irish woman, so like I feel like of all the people to recommend this to me, she's the one. But yeah, no, I'm just really looking forward to checking it out. It actually does have quite large font, which is nice too. This is probably the most recent book that I got in this non-fiction TBR, and that's Revolutionary Yiddishland: A History of Jewish Radicalism by Elaine Brossat and Sylvia Klingberg, which, yeah, just sounds really interesting. One of my Amanda read it a couple years ago, and it just seems really cool and interesting to learn about Jewish radicalism. I have these 3 books which are like less priority, but I'm going to show them anyway because it would be cool to get to them because they would get down my TBR. So the first is The Woman Warrior: Memoirs of a Girlhood Among Ghosts by Maxine Hong Kingston, which I've had for a very long time because I think Ron Litt talked about it in a video years and years ago, and I saw it in a charity shop and was like, aha, which has like an interesting cover. I quite like it. Then I have this book, How Nonviolence Protects the State by Peter Gelderloos, which is a critique of pacifism. I think I've read maybe the introduction. I definitely listened to some of it because there's like a free audiobook by Anarchist Audio Anarchist or whatever. I think it's like separated into 3 different sections, why nonviolence is like sexist and racist. Then I have this big book, which is Insurgent Empire, Anti-Colonial Resistance and British Dissent by Priyam Vadagopal, which looks really interesting too. There are a couple non-fiction books that I'd really like to get to that either aren't out yet or I don't have physical copies of. And I am going to include one on this list that like comes out this year and also will come out in hardcover, which does mean I'm less likely to pick it up because that hurts, plus it's like 720 pages. But I'm very excited for it, so I'm going to include it in this list. So the book that I was just talking about is Sarah Schulman's non-fiction book all about the AIDS crisis, which is called Let the Record Show: A Political History of ACT UP New York 1987 to 1993. Another book that I really want to get to is, and also looks like just right up my street in terms of the area of academic interest I have or whatever, and it's called The New Woman: Literary Modernism, Queer Theory and the Trans-Feminine Allegory by Emma Heaney, and it seems to be about the construction of a particular kind of womanhood in late Victorian, early modernism texts, I think. I'd really like to get to Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kimmerer this year. It's always been on my TBR for a very long time, and I think there's a nice audiobook where she reads the audio, so maybe I'll check that out finally. And I think lastly I will include The Undying by Anne Boyer, which is a book that I've both been really excited for and also kind of almost avoiding because I feel like it's just going to wreck me because it's very much about care and sickness and capitalism and death, I think, as well, and it's sort of a memoir-ish that Anne Boyer wrote about having cancer. So those are some non-fiction books that I would like to get to this year. I would love to hear what you want to get to this year, or if you have read or would like to read any of these books that I mentioned. I feel like it's funny because in 2019 I got quite into reading non-fiction books, especially because I was like, if I'm going to call myself a communist then I actually need to read like political books, and then in 2020 I just struggled so much, / I guess because I was sort of having to read a lot of non-fiction for my dissertation, I just completely didn't pick up non-fic books just for my like recreational reading or like more chill personal reading. But hopefully 2021 would be a slightly different year. If I manage to read half of the books I've mentioned, I'll be pretty impressed with myself, and if I manage to read most of them then I will be extremely impressed with myself. I hope you're having a good day when you're watching this, and hopefully I will see you soon for another video, potentially about 2020 but also maybe potentially about 2021. Yeah, I hope you're doing okay, and bye.